What's up, everybody? Going to do another calculating power training. So I've just been given my position, and I've got 5 minutes to think. And this looks like it's more an early, middle game, late. Well, it's not even middle game. The pieces aren't developed, so we're going to go kind of middle to late opening here. Not sure about what the opening is. Looks like maybe I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but e4, e5. Um, Kind of an opening. I don't think it was e4, d6, but not too terribly important, I guess. So let's go ahead and take a look at the position in terms of imbalances. We have a pretty symmetrical pawn structure, but we've got the tension between the f-pawn and the e-pawn here. We have all the minor pieces. All the pieces are still on the board. Nothing's been traded. I guess you could say, as far as this tension is concerned, white has a little space advantage over here on the king side. But the trading the f-pawn for the d-pawn here would kind of negate that, but it would give an open f file for white. So trading f takes, and then, my thought would be to go ahead and just take with the pawn here, even if black didn't do that. If it was f takes e, knight takes e, knight takes e, then d takes e, we would wind up with the same pawn structure, and the space advantage would be more or less neutralized. White would have the f file, black would have the d file. And I would give a slight advantage to white after that. Now, as far as the minor pieces, the bad bishops, the white light square bishop is the bad bishop, and it is outside the pawn chain. Black's dark square bishop is inside the pawn chain. However, if that trade on e5 occurs, that will be less significant because there won't be as much of a central pawn chain, although black could later on play f6 and have a pawn chain, not exactly in the center, but towards the center. It would clog things up a little bit for the dark square bishop. So out of this opening so far, I think white has a small plus, and will want to continue to try to develop and push that small edge into an actual advantage. So let's see if we can figure out for black how best to neutralize that. I don't think it's terrible for black to go ahead and swap on e5, so I don't think there needs to be any pains taken to just exactly prevent that. So maybe just developing normally. We have a little bit of a problem with our light square bishop here. I'm just going to list some things to be thinking about. We've got a little bit of a problem with the light square bishop right now, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get him out since both of his diagonals right now are clogged. The g8 knight can go to f6 without too much trouble. Castling queenside might be something that black might be considering doing. I don't know yet. Okay, so in order to castle kingside, black will need to move the knight, most likely to f6, and then castle. So it's 2 moves to do it that way. We have several moves to do it on queenside here. We need to get a move out of the way for the bishop. We need to get this bishop out of the way to move the queen, and then castle. So it's going to be minimum 2 moves here to get this bishop out of the way, and 2 moves to get that. So we're 4 moves away from castling queenside. So if we castle at all, it will probably be kingside, just in terms of time, because white can open up the center, not necessarily the center hard, but it can open it up fairly well. At least get that f file going and converging on the f7 square, and then we have the dark square bishop is going to come to life. So I would say actually white has not an insignificant edge here. So what is the best way to save some time, get developed? Probably just get developed. Is there a way to develop with time here? Maybe develop and attack that bishop. So maybe knight b6. But this is developing with time, but it's the slow developing so that we castle queenside. Knight b6. Heavens, knight b6, and even it might be time to take on f7 right now. Let's just look at a line like knight b6, bishop takes f7, king takes f7, knight... No, we really can't do that, can we? Okay, so it was probably premature, so probably knight b6, bishop b3, and black needs to continue developing, and then we can play bishop b4, pinning the knight, which is going to slow down some tactics over there. And then let's say we swap on e5. Take, And alright, my 5-minute time is up, but I want to keep going here before I start entering moves because I don't even have a very good candidate list for black yet. I'm still talking about the position. But we have 10 minutes to talk like that, so no big hurry. Knight b3 might be a developing move, or castle. Let's go castles, getting going on the f7 square. Now we swapped here. This knight's still here, but it's pinned. So, yeah, we would need to do that because of the bishop h4, which wouldn't be terrible because of g3, so no, that's not too big a deal. Yeah, this is just too slow. I'm not going to try to castle queenside here. It's just too slow. There's no good play. Well, that's not true. Now we've got, since we swapped on e5, we have this diagonal to choose a place for the bishop. So let's go over this variation one more time. Knight b6, bishop b3. Bishop c4, takes on e5, takes on e5, knight c3, bishop. Now we can't come back to b6 though, so this isn't the greatest place. But we could play bishop d6. Where's going to be the best place for this bishop? One of the problems is it just doesn't have a great square. Bishop c5, bishop b3 is pretty bad. Bishop b5 is not terrible. Bishop d6. I'm going to say bishop d6. At this point, white will want to continue developing. We don't have a plan for this. Is this knight able to go anywhere? Maybe into... no, because b6 is guarding it, so it wouldn't be great. Although we could just move the queen up, say, to e2. No, that doesn't break the pin. d2, maybe? Might actually be worth looking at now because that's going to be guarded by b6. I was going to say looking at queen a4, c3, and queen a4, but no, that's no good. Alright, so still trying to find a place for the queen. Maybe just queen e1. Trying to get over here to h4, which is... well, it's not available right now, but we need to get out of this pin. If we're white here, we want to get out of this pin. So maybe let's just go queen d2. Followed by queen e7. I don't know. That line just seems wrong to me. It doesn't seem like it goes anywhere. So I'm going to discard the knight b6 line. I'm going to look at, say, knight f6, which also looks awkward, blocking the f pawn here. What about f5? f5 is unsupported. I don't like it. What about knight h6 supporting f5? Basically, it looks to me like black has an uncomfortable position, and I'm not sure how best to continue. Knight h6, even f5, threatening bishop takes h6, prying open the king side, looks pretty bleak. f6, further hampering development. Then we're going to get killed on light squares in here. Knight f6 looks to be maybe the best of a lot of bad options. Knight f6 or knight b6. Maybe c5. c5, knight c3. Queen a5. c3. No, knight's there still, so... okay. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Knight f6. Knight f6, castles, castles, take, take. Looks pretty good for white. we're going to have the c5 square available to check the king here, but just don't think it's all that useful. So let's go with this variation. I think this is probably best after all that. Knight f6, castles, castles, takes, takes, and then white gonna have, okay, I'm not sure beyond that. Let's go ahead and put this in. Knight f6, castles, castles, takes, takes. Now at this point I'm not sure how white further develops, probably just developing moves. This bishop has now a nice diagonal, but can't get to g5. So possibly just develop it to e3. Let's go bishop e3. Let's go knight b6. Bishop b3. Bishop g4. I'm not really low on time, but I am trying to move things along in these videos. And I'm now just making natural developing moves. And finally, I think it makes more sense to develop this knight to c3. And here development is nearly finished. Only white queen, black queen, and the rooks left to develop. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's good for this, and then we're going to see how we did. So I'm going to click check, and I'm going to get scored. g8 to f6. That's knight f6 move. And this is being analyzed by Stockfish, a free engine. 100 points. Is that right off the screen again? I thought I made it wide enough. So let me scoochie it over here. And that's probably far enough. 96 points for White Castle, and 80 out of 100 points for Black Castling. So I'm not doing too badly, not great. Those are probably second, third, or fourth best moves, respectively. f4 to e5, swapping on e5, 64% and 80%. c1 to e3 was the bishop developing, which it did not like at all. Must be a blunder. I'll go and check that here in a little bit. I'll show you how to kind of check over your moves. And now I'm getting 0 out of 0. So these couple of moves are bum moves, badly. Now we got c4 to b3. Oh, developing the knight to b6 was bad. And then b1 to c3, the last knight move, was 96%. Alright, so let's take a look at my first real bum move, which is c1 to e3. Developing my dark square bishop to e3, and let's see why that was bad. And what we can do is bring up a window with the exact position, and we can see that bishop d3, way down here at almost the worst possible move in the position. So this is from White's perspective. I could probably flip it somehow, I'm not sure. New analysis, timed move, I'm not sure what all that is. But that's okay. Bishop e3, it says knight g4. Yeah, I'm just opening myself up to harassment by the knight, and probably at best, and at worst, there's probably a tactic here. So let's play through the primary variation. Knight g4. That seems... I'm not sure why he didn't come back to d2 or something. Oh, wow. Okay, well that's obviously bad, but what about coming back to... Can I not bring the knight or the bishop back to d2? Is there some sort of an attack that would be coming? Or maybe... I'm not really sure. I can't move the piece, so I don't really know. Okay, well anyway, that was the problem with that. And obviously it's just hard to see that far ahead for me. Okay, oops, I did not want to do that. I want to close this, though. There we go. That was d3, right? c1 to e3. c1 to e3. Where's that at? Okay, and then d7 to b6 was knight b6. I'm kind of harassing this. Let's see what the problem with that was. It wasn't terrible, but there was a good move. The knight, oh, it's because I missed knight g4. So knight b6, the principal variation from there is that I hung my e-pawn. as you can see. And then the other moves weren't awful. C4 to B3. Retreating that because I didn't take the pawn that was offered to me. And finally, the last real bad move, C8 to G4. Bishop G4 is bad because can I take the pawn with an attack? I'm not sure. I guess it's not terrible. It just doesn't. Knight G4 is better. Okay. So anyway, that is how determine your calculating power works. I scored 1602, which is not nearly as good as I did on my first one, but not terrible. I got pretty decent first 3 moves. And in chess, if you can make your first move 100 out of 100 every time, then that's all that really counts. But being able to see far ahead clearly is the goal. At least it's one of my goals. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.